It's recording now.
We're recording now. Okay. Well, hi, everybody, and welcome. This is Jan Stringer, and I'm the founder of Perfect Customers Incorporated. So if you're joining us for the first time, this is a special event we're doing today, and I'd like to introduce my wonderful partner. Your turn. Say hi.
Alan Hickman.
Alan Hickman. And anything you want to say to get us started, Alan, before we...
Well, I am Medium Al, and I am absolutely thrilled to be here with Big Al, Alan Davidson.
All right. So on my right is Big Al, Alan Davidson. I'm going to introduce him formally in just a minute, but I have to tell a couple of stories of how this whole Medium Al, Big Al thing got going. And a couple of years ago, we were doing a retreat here in Santa Fe for our strategic attraction coaching and training program that we affectionately called SACAT. And we had Alan Davidson, who is this fabulous 6'4" hunk of a guy. And then we have my fabulous husband, Alan Hickman, who's a 6'1" hunk of a guy. And we had one other even taller guy who's not on the line today, Ken Stone. But since we had two Allens in the room who spell their name just the same, exactly the same, we dubbed Alan Davidson Big Al because he had a few more inches, and Alan Hickman is Medium Al. So if you want to address a question, just say Alan, Big Al, or Medium Al, and then we'll know who you want to speak to. So one of the things I'm excited about today's presentation with Alan Davidson is that he and I met many, many moons ago. I don't even know when it was, but one of our passions that we both share is dance, and we do a particular kind of dance technique called Nia, and Nia is a kind of a body, mind, and soul dance technique, and we were both from Houston, Texas, and we were dancing for quite a long time before we ever really got to know each other. But when you dance together, you feel like you know each other in a different way. And so that's how we initially became acquainted. And one day our book, Attracting Perfect Customers, had just been released, I believe, and he had heard about it and had asked questions. Anyway, one thing led to another, and he ended up taking our very first training that we called SACAT, Strategic Attraction Coaching and Training. And so he was in one of our very early groups, and we're very proud that he's been part of us because his career path has really blossomed since then and incorporated what we call strategic attraction planning in a very creative, imaginative ways. And part of what we're receiving today is that's coming back to us in his flavor. And that's what we like about our creative process, is that we want people that come through our certification training program to add their brilliance to the strategic attraction plan. And that's something that Alan has done, Big Al has done very, very well. And Alan, you might want to, Medium Al, add on, you know, your introduction to Alan Davidson, maybe wasn't on the dance floor, but something that you remember most about working with Alan and meeting him.
Well, I have a number of Big Al stories that are just absolutely amazing. But one of my favorites is, of course, when he'd written his beautiful, fabulous book, Through Your Body. And he came to a retreat here in Santa Fe at Ojo Caliente. And at the retreat, everybody had a program they were working on, and we were coming up with goals and strategies to help fulfill on whatever it is that we were working on. And Alan had this desire to have Marianne Williamson connect with her and to interview her. And so, we worked on a sort of a program on how to attract that. And so the challenge was that Marianne Williamson's assistant had said, oh, sure, we can do that. I've got a stack here, and you're number 500 on the stack. And so Alan leaves the retreat, shows up at the Albuquerque airport, gets on the airplane, and the plane is delayed 20 minutes. But who's sitting in the first seat in first class as he walks on the plane? Mary Ann Williamson. And so he gets to sit down, introduce himself to her, and she says, "Oh, you're the author of that beautiful book." And she says, "Of course I'll do an interview." And he had the interview within 2 weeks, I believe. Right. And so that to me expresses who Alan Davidson is. That's who we have on the Zoom video with us right now.
Yeah. So, well, I'd like to just introduce our call today, and what our intention is number one is to have a lot of fun. Okay, so the reason we do these calls, it's a once-a-month call that we do for our community, our particular SACAT tribe, and we've been expanding our vision about this call gradually over the last few months to incorporate fabulous guest speakers. So usually somebody comes on board that's a part of our tribe, which Alan certainly is, and we've had other speakers as well. But what's different about today is that we actually invite people who were not necessarily a SACAT or hasn't been through our immediate certification training program, because we wanted to just give people an experience and be part of our tribe. So so that's what we're doing today. So the intention is, number one, fun. Number two would be to experience something that's very unique on how Alan Davidson has really taken the strategic attraction plan to a whole nother level in his life. And so he can share about that. And then also he's going to give us an experience that will be very helpful for each of us in how to connect more deeply with what makes us tick. And so I could probably go on a long time, Alan, before I actually let you speak. But I'm going to go ahead and let you speak now because I can't hear what you have to say. So without further ado, everybody, welcome Alan, Big Al, Alan Davidson.
Well, yeah, hello, everybody. It's a pleasure and privilege to be with you. Jan and Alan are two of my absolute favorite human beings on planet Earth right now. And we have shared so many adventures together. So it's thrilling to, I was sharing with Jan just on Monday how the strategic attraction plan has served me in so many unique ways over the years since I started working with it in 2006. So over the 10 years, it just comes up to serve me over and over and over in unique ways. So I'm going to share a little bit today about some of those ways and create an experience for all of us together to deepen the power of the strategic attraction plan for us. So,
I was playing with the mute for a moment. I'm just going to let everybody know, if you haven't muted yourself, I'm going to just go ahead and mute everybody. But if you want to speak and interact, you can unmute yourself. So let me just do that real quickly before. I'm kind of new to Zoom, so bear with me. And then probably will let Alan not be muted.
You're not the first to suggest I might be muted, so.
Okay, so everybody can still hear me, right? And they can hear you, Alan. All right. Yeah. Everybody else is muted, but if you want to unmute, just go to the chat bar down below, and you can also just draw your attention. There is a chat there. If you want to add comments, feel free to do that. And also, if you want to manage your own mute button, go to manage participants. It's a little bar at the very bottom of the screen. All right, so that's enough housekeeping. All right, so Alan, just to kind of like get you started, tell us a little bit about who you are. And of course, as you do that, tell us a little bit about how strategic attraction planning, or the SACAT program, however you want to refer to that, has played a part for you in your business development.
Well, sure. So in 2006, I was getting ready to launch my book, Body Brilliance, that Media Mouse so graciously talked about. Body Brilliance, Mastering Your 5 Vital Intelligences. And I had run a very successful massage studio and massage practice and taught massage for over 10 years. So I had a very solid presence here in Houston, but outside of that, not much. And I knew that for my book to get the audience that it deserved, that I needed to start to reach out nationally and internationally and grow my own tribe. And so when I really understood what Jan was doing with the SACAT program, I raised my hand and say, okay. And at the time, it was the largest investment in any sort of personal development or business development coaching program that I'd ever made. And I'm here to tell you that I have gotten my return on that investment so many times over.
That's right.
So my passion is embodied enlightenment or embodied meditation. And Jan mentioned Nia and how we love to dance. But Nia ultimately is a dance meditation. It's how to be present to ourselves physically, emotionally, mentally, morally, and spiritually while we move through space and have a great amount of joy and pleasure in moving. So one of my radical contributions to SACAT and the Strategic Attraction Plan is that over the 10 years I've worked with those 4 questions of the Strategic Attraction Plan, I've come to believe fully that it's actually a path to enlightenment. If you keep asking those questions in the Strategic Attraction Plan, it will take you to who you truly are at your essence. What makes you tick is your most radiant, most enlightened, most embodied true self. So that's the first thing that I want to share with you. Now, as I was learning how to promote my book, I did a deep dive into business and marketing and online marketing and found that I actually am darn good at it. Really good at it.
I'll say.
And in 2009, I had a chance to study with a man named Jeff Walker, who had created the product launch formula. And he was going to train 49 people to be product launch managers, to really live and breathe the formula and help other people manifest their goals and their success in their business with it. And the product launch formula, for me, I knew that one, I had to be there, but also that it would work for my particular tribe, who were massage therapists, Nia teachers, yoga teachers, meditators, who are often very offended by, high pressure marketing. And because Jeff's formula is give, 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 and invite. So it's giving incredible value to people, transformative healing value to people, whether they actually invest in you or not. And those that want to go deeper can. So I knew it would work for my tribe. So I became a product launch strategist. And as I started working with other clients, I always had in my hip pocket the Strategic Attraction Plan. So I started all of my client work with, who is your divine audience? Who is your perfect customer? And so that's been a foundation and a base. And at this point, I have designed over 70 product launches.
Wow.
And I've quit counting, to be honest with you. So it could be 80 or 90 something at this point, with some of the most premier people in the spiritual, personal development space, heart-centered business space.
Wow.
So the Strategic Attraction Plan for me has been an incredible tool to help grow my business as well as my own deep spiritual practice.
Wow. Well, I just was remembering a few years ago, I think it was about, maybe almost 3 years ago now, and you and I hadn't seen each other in a long time, and we saw each other at a conference in Los Angeles. And I had been going through a lot of deep personal transformation and healing, and hadn't been as actively engaged in front of clients as much as I had been in the past. And I saw Alan, and we went to have a little cup of coffee together, and you sat me down, and he says, or you said, you need to interview me. And I'm like, really? I'd love to interview you. You know, of course, anytime I want to talk to you is great. So, but what makes you say that? And you said, well, you need to know what strategic attraction has been for me and my business, and the results that being on that path has produced. So that was a real pivotal moment for me, because even when you have a vision like I've had for the last 16 years of this business, and this concept of strategic attraction, and really what makes you tick, bringing that forth in your business, it's easy to lose sight of that in as life happens. So you brought that back to me, and I'll be eternally grateful for that. So wonderful. So that's brilliant, Alan, what you're saying here. So tell us more. I'm all ears.
Well, for our time together, I'd like to think in terms of how I personally use a strategic attraction plan and give you sort of a new way to expand your horizons of using it. I think of the 4 steps of the strategic attraction plan as a manifestation tool, as a manifestation protocol that takes an intention, an idea, a goal that somebody has, and through working through the process, by the end of step 4, that manifestation is set in motion. Now, what I also know as a spiritual being and a spiritual student and spiritual teacher is that we often have obstacles that keep us from manifesting instantly, and those are mindsets, limiting beliefs, toxic emotions, even stuff stored in the fascia and muscles of our body. So to become an excellent manifester, we have to clear all the obstacles that hinder us from manifesting into reality at every level of our being, physically, emotionally, mentally, morally, and spiritually. Yes. And I think that's why so many manifestation protocols have difficulty, because they might only work on the neural pathways of the brain and thinking patterns. But they don't actually address emotions, or they don't actually address the muscles and the connective tissues that are stored in the body of life, of years and years and years of holding a particular mindset. Or it's very difficult to go into the energy anatomy and actually clear frozen light that's stored at the spiritual level. So there's levels of obstacles, and so any really good protocol is going to set your intention, leverage your intention, but then you also need some way that works for you to clear all of those levels of those obstacles so that you can start manifesting faster and faster and faster.
What you're saying here is so vital and important. The strategic attraction plan started out as a marketing tool. That was really the sales and marketing tool, how to build relationships, and it still is that. And that concept hasn't changed. However, in working with the strategic attraction plan, as you said, you did consistently, you found there was a deeper dive available. And I discovered that for myself, and I was teaching it for, hundreds and hundreds of people over and over and over, the same 4 steps, which now, by the way, is 5. We added a 5th step. And that's not in either of our books, but, I will train you in the 5th step soon.
All right.
But, when Alan and I wrote the 2nd book, Being Attraction, What Love Has to Do with Business and Marketing, 2 things were very prevalent for me at that point in time, and more than I even knew, because that book came out in 2009. And one of the things, what you just said, is what I wanted to really bring forth in that book, that step number 3 particularly was an opportunity for healing. Like, that was the place where you could surface what was your obstacle or your blockage, but that the healing wasn't innately in the strategic attraction plan itself. It was more like a surfacing tool, and it helps to point you in the right direction. And so what we were trying to convey in the book is that, here's some opportunities to surface that, and here's some places that you might go to get that healing. So when I referred earlier that I had gone through a deep transformational healing period, little did I know that just writing that book was going to throw me into about 3 years of some deep personal transformation and healing. So I'm so delighted to hear, the context of what you're sharing with us today, because you've really taken it to a whole new level that allows people to use strategic attraction to surface it, but also to take it to that healing modality. So,
right. Well, and that's, I'll be curious to hear what the 5th step is, because I've sort of, I loaded a lot into the 4th step. And for me, step 2 and step 4, at least in the old days, and I'm going back, the old days, 10 years ago, what makes me tick? And then that question in step 4 is, who do I get to be to have these extraordinary people in my life?
Yeah.
Well, to me, that's the invocation of my most radiant, most enlightening, most embodied self, because they're the same answer. And what I've noticed over 10 years of asking that question, what makes me tick, and what makes my perfect customer or my divine audience tick, how that's deepened and deepened and deepened over the years. And when I keep asking, who do I get to be? Who am I being now, and who do I get to be to manifest these extraordinary people in my life?
Yeah.
I get to create my own avatar of who my most radiant, most enlightening person is, that's fully embodied 24/7, as opposed to, a couple hours here or a couple of 3 days here, sort of those fleeting states. How do I make that a permanent trait of who I'm being every day, every breath, every gesture?
Yeah.
But step 3 is that place of, what my perfect customers expect of me, for me, and from me, is sort of how I work with that. And when I'm really in that place of my most radiant, enlightening self and answering those questions of me, from me, and for me, then it's a call to step up into my own magnificence. And then I get to look at, now, where am I falling short of that magnificence? And what are the things that I can do better today and tomorrow and the next day that are specific and measurable in my life? Not some woo-woo, I'm going to be more loving. Just know, what's the action of love?
Right.
What's the action of compassion? What's the action of wisdom that I can see on a video, that I can write? Here's my specific and measurable goal. So if you really look at step 3, as Jan was saying, you can get down to how to incrementally measure how you're embodying your most enlightening self, and how you're taking the steps to close that gap between where you are now, where I am now, and where I want to be, where I choose to be, to have these extraordinary people and extraordinary relationships and experiences in my life.
Yeah. Well, you just hit on step 5, by the way. Step 5 is to take attractive action. Really, it was kind of one of those things that we had to add because we thought it went without saying, which is always a dangerous thing. So step 1, 2, 3, and 4 set you up for really being clear about, who you are, what's important to you, who you want to hang out with, and why that's important to you. And step number 5 really is just putting the actionable items in front of you, making a list of, what am I going to do? Like we've got the being in place. So now what to do to really make this become a manifestation reality. At least we got a little chat going on. I just wanted to read this real quick from Nancy. She says, over the past 3 years, I've heard many fellow SAP students talk about wanting a heart-centered business. I just read a spiritual teaching about our hearts needing to be touched to experience transformation from the inside out. And for the past 3 years, I've created the SAP one after another. SAP has taken me on a journey of transformation because it does indeed touch my heart on a deep personal level. So we have people that, whether we point that out to them, it's that journey that strategic attraction can take you into if you are a spiritual person, for example. Some people want to keep it very mainstream and be very, business-like, I guess, for lack of a better word, about it, which it can be very well suited for, but it can also be what you're talking about. It can be for a healing tool. It can be a manifestation protocol. It can be a real personal transformation tool. And you're certainly pointing to how it can be even more than probably even I thought of. So.
Yeah, that really is the key. The personal transformation. It's a transformation. That's what I get that Alan's talking about is embodying, these different aspects, because that's where I feel the power is. That it's not just positive thinking, Pollyanna, intellectual understanding. It's actually transformation that's taking place inside my body. One of the most valuable pieces of that is that unless I have those kinds of transformations, I can spend tens of thousands of dollars on a program and only be transformationally available to get $500 worth of value out of it. So that's really what I see the strategic attraction planning process works on: the intellectual understanding and the direct personal experience of embodying that which is on my plan.
Well, and Alan, you're speaking to I'm glad you used the word power for one thing, because I want to come to that in a moment. But as a marketing expert, I have been to so many high-level masterminds, and I've worked with so many people hosting very high-level masterminds. I've seen the behind the curtain of their businesses, and I've seen them working with their students. And I see over and over and over so many spiritual-minded, heart-based people who really want to make a difference in the world. And they're studying with some of the great strategists of the century. But it's who they are being that either will determine the success of how they use that strategy or not. And so I see people who will move from mastermind to mastermind, to teacher, and it always seems often to be the teacher's fault that the strategy doesn't work. And it really always comes back to who am I being in the moment as I implement this strategy. And so that's sometimes the missing piece, and that's what I love about the strategic attraction plan, because it's like, who am I being in this moment to have manifested and attracted this experience into my life? And can I make a wiser, more loving, more compassionate choice now to improve that manifestation?
Yeah, that's exactly what led us to create step number 5. There's an ancient Vedic saying, Yogastha Kuru Karmani, in Sanskrit. It means established in being, perform action. And so that's why step number 5 is we establish our being through step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then go out and take an action. And so those actions are, as you say, much more powerful because they're in alignment with what makes me tick. They're in alignment with what's perfect for me. And it's just so much more clear and focused. The actions produce much more significant results.
Alan, that reminds me of one of my favorite prayers from Mahatma Gandhi.
Mm.
And one day he said, "Dear God, I have so much to do today. I better meditate 2 hours instead of 1." Which is that, grounding yourself in being before I take an action.
That's great. Well,
But
I want to tag on just real quickly to something that kind of that ties back into, interestingly enough, how Big Al and I met, is that we met on the dance floor. And Nia is always about your body's way. It's about learning to be in your body. And so I just wanted to, reiterate that it's kind of interesting that a lot of times in our sales and marketing particularly, it can be very heady work, it's all up here in the head portion. And what we're talking about in this conversation today is embodying, like bringing it into the whole body, the whole being. This is just a portion of our being. Our being is way out there. And sometimes if I'm in my head, I'm not remembering how big my being is. And so I just wanted to, the thought came out to me to mention that how important step 4 is, for example, is when I declare who I'm being, I am actually producing a transformation inside of myself.
I'm embodying that.
And people recognize it. They see it. They feel it. Emails start coming in. I mean, we were on a class this week where one of, I think it was Victoria, was mentioning this shift in being that she had been producing with herself around being more joyful in her business, and it was showing up, whereas she had been implementing other structures for marketing that weren't proving as successful until she's produced the shift in her being. And then now all of a sudden calls are coming in and people are hiring her and paying her fee and paying her more because she charges more than everybody else. So, this is a very, very important thing we're talking about.
I want to talk about power.
Okay.
Because one thing that I notice in the law of attraction community and the spiritual community, we have collapsed this understanding of dominance and power. And there's a very, very important distinction between the two. Dominance is what we see happening so much in the 3D world. There's the victim, the perpetrator, and the rescuer, the drama triangle. And that's dominance in action. And so many people are called to their heart and the higher levels of being because of the pain and suffering that's caused by dominance in our culture and in our world. But there's a disownment. There's a turning our back on our own power that many of us do because we're afraid that we're going to abuse our own power, because we see abuse around us all the time. And what I see the strategic attraction plan is, again, another tool for reclaiming the highest level of my spiritual power at every level of my being, physically, emotionally, mentally, morally, and spiritually. The authentic, that true power. And that means managing the dominance in the rest of the world and in other people in a very skillful and compassionate way. But it means really stepping into and owning and enjoying and savoring and thriving in my own spiritual power. And that's what makes manifesting fast and easy, because we have the power at every level of our being to do it. And for us to become master manifestors, we've got to become friends with our own power and trust ourselves to wield it wisely and compassionately. And I think the strategic attraction plan is a consistent way to measure how well am I doing that.
Yeah, and that quote from Gandhi, I love it, and I hope Victoria is on the line here, because I have so much to do today. I better meditate 2 hours instead of 1, because that is what can give us access to that power that you're talking about.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful. So, one of the things I've seen both in Alan and Jan over 10 years is how they have step by step stepped into their own authentic power, and how they work through their own demons and shadows and places that they've had to heal and grow, as she chuckles to herself. But
you saw that? Oh, no.
Glad I'm on the other side of it. I'm on the other side of all of that.
And Alan, the point that I will add to that is that they're willing to be vulnerable and express that to their clients and to the rest of their tribe.
Sure.
Very key aspect of that is to acknowledge all of that. So thank you, Alan. Thanks, and Carrie. Jan.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, there are very few spiritual teachers that I feel are able to do that well and to be that vulnerable. And it reminds me of a book that Ram Dass wrote a long time ago. He sort of took a dangerous turn in his life and his teaching after his guru died. And he had to write a book called Egg on My Beard. Just to basically say, hey, I took a wrong turn here, I screwed up, and I'm back on my core authentic path here. And, I've certainly seen Jan and Alan in their own way live out and publicly their process. And I have a lot of respect for both of them for choosing to do that. And it is messy. And sometimes it's not so pretty, but it's real. And it speaks to all of us where we still, for all of my year, I've been meditating since 1981, and I still have demons, and I still have dark places to illuminate. And my question is to, how can I do that in a way that helps my tribe, my community around me to do the same thing?
Right.
Yeah, that's it. It is real. And what I've found is that in that stepping into that reality, that's where big T truth is. That's where I found the truth.
Yeah, clients calls make your mess your message. And and that's basically what Carrie was speaking to as he stood up and raised his hand and said, thanking Jan and Alan for doing that. Is
I kind of felt like
make
there
your
might
mess
be...
your message, and that there's hope on the other side of the mess.
Thank God. I had a feeling that there might be a question or two. Let me just pause in our conversation before I go into the next part. Just unmute yourself if you have a question or comment. Marima, you're muted. Do I need to unmute you? Let's see. Unmute.
Yes.
There you are. Let's see.
Yes. Hi. Hello. Hi, Jan, Alan. Hi, Big Al. How are you? It's great to be in your presence of all of you. I just wanted to make a comment about something that you said, Big Al, about power versus dominance. I think that comment is really good because, yes, we see a lot of abuse all over the world. And for heart-centered business entrepreneurs and spiritual people in general, the problem that we have is in order not to be in the same side of dominance, we are sometimes a little bit too shy with our spiritual power and stepping into that power. And I don't know what mentor out there said that he was curious to know when was going to be the first $1 billion personal development business or entrepreneur, or whether we are ever going to get to that point. And it seems in the personal development industry, it's going a little bit slow in general, in terms of business. So I think that point that you're making, I'm personally struggling with that, struggling with creating content and being very spiritual, but at the same time really being ambitious in my business in the same way that I was ambitious when I worked in the oil industry in Houston.
Yeah.
Then I was able to reach out to CEOs of companies like it was no tomorrow. But then when it came to the personal development, it seems that I'm not that bold.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you want to comment something like that. But I think that point is brilliant. Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And the first I'll say for you personally, or at least what I do personally, is to look at all the places where I'm chronically holding, where I'm chronically afraid, where I'm chronically stuffing and stifling down energy or old emotions or old stories, and just be as present in my body to those energies as I can as they come up when they come up. And that helps loosen up old rigid ways of suppressing my power. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that happens as we move into our enlightenment, as we move through those 5 steps of the strategic attraction plan, our intuition and our connection to our higher self becomes keener and sharper. So I can always check in with my higher self. Is this the most optimal choice for me? Is it the most wise? Is it the most compassionate? Is it the most powerful? Or am I making a choice that's serving my ego and serving fear? So develop a practice where you can check with your higher self to tell you if you feel some question about how to move forward. Right. But you spoke to something that I think is really important, and it's easy for us as spiritual entrepreneurs or heart-centered entrepreneurs to sort of think we're in the trenches and that we're doing a lot of this alone, or that we're a part of a very small tribe. And it can feel that way, but I want you to also think in context of the whole bigger world, because there's some interesting trends that are happening in the online world and actually in the corporate world.
Right.
And when I started in the online world in 2006, and I would go to these online trainings, I remember going to the what Digital Marketer calls the Traffic and Conversion Summit back in 2007. I went to the first one. There was me, who I would consider had a rigorous spiritual practice, and one other person that was sort of loosely personal development. Everybody else, of the 150 people, were hardcore online marketers there to make money. Now, in 2016, there were 3,500 people at that conference, and there were literally hundreds and hundreds of people that I consider to have a rigorous spiritual practice, right, who want to take their message online or into the world and have a greater impact. Now, another trend is that I've seen people in the online world make millions of dollars and lose millions of dollars, and make millions of dollars and lose millions of dollars. And all of a sudden, those people are waking up and go, oh, it's not about the money. It's about, I want a life and a business with meaning that has a purpose. So there are those two trends.
Right.
But then also, if you look at corporate America, if you look at corporations like Starbucks or Whole Foods, I've gone blank. Anyway, so there are corporations that are doing a great job of having core spiritual, personal values that guide their corporate decisions, and they're treating their employees well, they're treating their customers well, and their shareholders are making money.
Yes.
So I think these 3 trends in business are coming together so that us that feel like we're alone in the trenches, we're at the vanguard of saying we want a business that is in line with who we are at our highest soul level and based on spiritual values, and to make a $1 billion business to be able to do that. And the rest of the world is actually shifting and changing to meet us, as opposed to us having to sacrifice our values just to make money.
Thank you for saying that. That totally aligned with me. I think that for all of us here, that is happening in the same way that all my priorities changed today and things align so I could be here. This attraction factor that all of us have is making the rest of the world come to us. So our moment has come.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an idea whose time has come.
Yeah.
And just to speak to your comment about $1 billion personal development business, the way that you know that a goal is reasonable is if someone else has achieved it. And so just to give you an example, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who died just a couple of years ago, not long after he died, the accountants went in and calculated that his business, his personal development business, had a net worth of a little over $26 billion.
I didn't know that. Wow. Thank you for that. That is awesome.
Yeah, so there it is.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought nobody had done it.
So
And that's just
meditate
from
more.
silence.
Meditate more.
Meditate more.
Meditate more and take action.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's quite reached that, but I would think that the Passion Test and the Light Alliance with Janet and Chris Atwood, they've got to be getting up there. So I think there are companies that are in that direction that are doing bigger things. Jack Canfield, some of these guys are probably out there.
Well, what do we have on the screen for us next, Alan?
Big Al, Medium Al.
Big Al.
Okay. Well, I would like to. Why don't we do some clearing work that I use? I'll tell everyone. As I said, I teach embodied enlightenment, and so I have a meditation practice that allows someone who has never meditated before in their life in 30 or 40 minutes to have a full-on enlightening experience. And Jan and Alan were, on the ground level as I was learning and developing this meditation. And I got to actually lead that meditation at a couple of the early SACAT programs back in Ojo Caliente, the good old days.
Yes.
But that takes a lot of time to set that up and to actually do that. So, that's an invitation for you guys if you want to look deeper at that meditation. But as facilitating literally thousands of people in that meditation, I kept coming away with, okay, so we can shift very easily into that amazing state of absolute infinite stillness, or into the luminous ocean of unconditional love with the Divine Mother. We can easily facilitate that shift. But then we get snapped back to our ordinary, usually fearful, way of being. It's like, why can't we embody those extraordinary things? And so I really, for a whole year, really questioned and inquired and prayed about what is it that keeps us from embodying these amazing enlightened states, and who do we get to be to have these extraordinary people and these extraordinary lives. And so I was gifted a couple of practices to remove the obstacles that help to clear the obstacles at particularly the spiritual and the mental and emotional level, to help us make wiser choices. So what I want to share with you guys is the practice of it, and actually lead us in a clearing. And what I'd like us to clear is what makes us tick. So asking the question in step 2, what makes my perfect customers tick? What makes my divine audience tick? What makes me tick? Now, I'm going to peel a couple of layers back, because sometimes we get confused, or we're not clear, or we don't trust, we don't know. So we're going to clear the source of any confusion about what makes me tick. And then we're going to clear the source, the first layers anyway, that inhibit us and block us from embodying what makes us tick. How does that sound, Jan and Alan?
That sounds great. Let's do
Lead
it.
on.
All right, great. All right, well, first I want to say that our higher selves communicate with color, light, sound, and symbol. So when we use those elements that are connected to all 5 levels of our incarnate soul, oversoul, avatar, and rishi levels, those are the 5 states of being. Those are the 5 stages of enlightenment and embodied enlightenment in the map that I use. There's 5 stages. And so there are symbols that work at all 5 of those levels. And in the map that I use, there's not only the 7 energetic chakras in the body, but there's actually 8 subtler chakras in the energy fields. There's 15 dimensions, there's 15 chakras, and they break down into those 5 different stages of enlightenment. But these symbols that I'm going to share with you activate all 5 levels, all 15 dimensions, all 15 chakras. So they're freeing frozen light at every level of your being and every level of your awareness. So that's just a crash course in spiritual anatomy right there, but just know that these symbols are working at a very profound level, at every level of your awareness and every level of your being. And just like the strategic attraction plan, we're leveraging your intention to be whole and complete. And to not only be whole and complete, to remember that you already always are whole and complete. It's that illusion of your mind that you made a decision to be separate from. And we're always going back to reminding you that you already always are whole and complete, and that with your intention, you can achieve and be anything and everything that you want. Any comments before we shift into the demonstration?
Sounds great. Yeah, let's do it.
Jan, I think we are succeeding at our intention here, by the way.
Which one was that?
Remember you asked me on Monday, what do you want to get out of our time together on Thursday? And I think we are succeeding fabulously here. So
I do too.
I just feel this conversation we're creating is so rich and powerful. And I'm already just nourished at every level of my soul, just being with the SACAT group. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I feel...
all right, well, you want to flash the...
flash our screen? Flash what? What did you say?
Well, so, not everybody in the SACAT community knows this, but I am an old drag queen from many, many years ago. And so, as I like to say, my nipples are spinning at this point. So, all right. So, the body, I call my movement Revolutionary Enlightenment, and the meditation that I teach and share is called Evolutionary Meditation. And this is just a couple of graphics to show you, that meditation, and then the clearing and healing work we're going to do is in service to that. So let's go to the next slide, Jan. And this is a sacred symbol, a sacred code, and it actually, again, some of the codes work at the first 4 dimensions, the first 4 levels of enlightenment, and some of them work at all 5 levels. And this is a code that works at all 5 levels simultaneously. So I'm going to do an anchoring meditation, and then we'll start the healing and clearing. And I would like everyone that's listening to the call to just take one moment to write down with a pencil and paper what you feel makes you tick in this moment. Let's write that down, and then we'll just check and see if anything's become clearer to you at the end of our time together. What makes me tick blank? couple of more moments, and then we'll move into the meditation and the clearing. All right, so just take a moment to look at the symbol on the screen, really noticing the play of the blue and the black colors on the background. And then noticing the outer circle of white, and then the outer circle of lotus petals, and the inner circle of lotus petals, and then that inner circle of white light. And then that lattice of pyramids at the center of the circle, in the way that a few of those pyramids touch that inner circle. And then notice at the very, very center of the symbol, there is that dance of blue and black. And as you're ready, close your eyes and then imagine this symbol in your mind's eye. In your third eye, your sixth chakra. And imagining again the play of blue and black in the background, the outer white circle, the outer layer of flower petals, that inner layer of larger flower petals, and the inner circle, and then that lattice of pyramids intersecting, touching the inner circle at 6 points, and then in the very epicenter of that lattice of pyramids, that small triangle opening up into infinity. And with a breath, imagining that sacred symbol moving down the central vertical channel of your body through the throat center, the heart center, the solar plexus, the belly, out through the pelvic floor, and actually into the earth itself. And with your breath and with your intention, moving that sacred symbol through the earth, all the way to the molten core of the earth herself. And just imagining that as you are healing and clearing the meridians of your own body, that this sacred symbol is healing and clearing the energy meridians of the earth, wherever you find yourself, and connecting to the epicenter of the earth herself. And imagine this sacred symbol absorbing that molten energy of the earth, the fierce power and fertility of Mother Earth. And as you're ready, with the inhalation and in-breath and your intention, breathing that sacred symbol back up through the layers of the earth, up and up through the earth. And coming up through the crust and back in through the pelvic bowl and up the central vertical channel of your body to your heart center. And imagine that sacred symbol, the sacred code in your heart center, now illuminating every level of your awareness and every level of your being with the molten energy of Mother Earth. Taking a full breath, just really letting that energy permeate your being. And now with an out breath and your intention, moving that sacred symbol up the vertical channel of your body, through the throat, through the third eye, through the crown chakra, to exactly 36 inches above the top of your head. And imagine this sacred symbol now in the epicenter of a star, a gaseous burning star, burning as brightly as 10,000 suns. The subtlest light of consciousness itself, burning away, purging all that is not in service of the highest universal wholeness and healing. and this sacred symbol absorbing the light of 10,000 suns. And as you're ready, now with an in-breath, breathing the sacred symbol back down through the central vertical channel, through the crown of your head, the third eye, the throat center, and back into your heart. And now imagine that every level of your awareness and every level of your being is now pulsing with the radiant light of 10,000 suns. And with a breath, now merging these two impulses together, Father Sky, Mother Earth, the Divine Father, the Divine Mother, now merging in your heart center. It is commanded in the name of divine love that this sacred symbol and this sacred breath be used to clear the source of all obstacles that keeps everyone listening to my voice from having a clear, exact experience of what makes them tick. Ta Asian Tadoi. It is commanded in the name of divine love that this sacred symbol and this sacred breath be used to evolve and transmute the source of these obstacles back into their true essence of golden liquid light. Now, Ta Asian Tadoi. Now I'm connected to the higher self of everybody on this call and that will listen to this call. And I can feel the energy starting to move and shift and clear for us collectively. So just be present in your body. Just be aware of what you're sensing in your body, through your body as the energy moves. And the energy just now starting to go quantum for the group. That first level of healing and clearing, knowing that this clearing can go on for up to 3 to 7 days actually, but the first level of peeling away that frozen light is just now happening for the group. There we go, the energy now going quantum, meaning that first layers of frozen light clearing, and now the energy disconnecting from the neural networks of the brain and the nervous system. Superconscious mind. This clearing, this first level of clearing is complete for this group at this time. Okay, great. Jan, if you would move to the next slide, please, and the next symbol. All right, great. This is another code, a Tribeca code, a sacred symbol for a very, very long time. Just noticing, I imagine this is 3 different spheres. So there's the center circle. Imagine this is liquid chrome. And that this first inner circle is a sphere containing the C, which is a symbol for clearing and protecting. And then imagine the 3 interlocking spheres around it. And each of those spheres are spinning and turning with their own momentum. And it's a gyroscope of healing, clearing, and protection. And just taking a moment to really see it on the screen. And as you're ready, closing your eyes and just imagining it in your mind's eye. That inner sphere with the C, the capital C, for clearing, healing, protecting. And then the 3 interlocking spheres surrounding that. And each of those 4 spheres creating this amazing sacred symbol. And you can even imagine them spinning and turning in multi-dimensions in your mind's eye. It is commanded in the name of divine love that this sacred symbol and this sacred code be used to clear the source of any obstacle that hinders everyone listening to my voice from fully embodying what makes them tick. Ta Asian Tadoi. Superconscious mind, there are ids, identities, voices, or personas that hinder the full embodiment of what makes us tick. This is a little expanded healing and clearing to work with the personas or subpersonalities that keep us from embodying our tick. It is commanded in the name of divine love that all the ids, identities, voices, and personas that hinder the full embodiment of what makes us tick be activated now at every level of our awareness and every level of our being. Ta Asian Tadoi. It is commanded in the name of divine love that these ids, identities, voices, and personas now merge with their polar opposites. Now, Ta Asian Tadoi. It is commanded in the name of divine love that these ids, identities, voices, and personas now merging with their Christos avatar opposites. Now, Ta Asian Tadoi. It is commanded in the name of divine love that the source of these ids, identities, voices, and personas be evolved and transmuted back into their true essence of golden liquid light. Ta Asian Tadoi. It is commanded in the name of divine love that this sacred symbol and this sacred breath be used to allow every level of our awareness and every level of our being to flow completely and freely in the infinite ocean of luminous light and love. Ta Asian Tadoi. Superconscious mind. There's something else we need to know or do to complete this initial clearing of removing the karmic imprint from what keeps us from embodying our tick. superconscious mind, this initial healing and clearing is now complete. Ta Asian to Doi. All right, so just take a moment to really sense and notice what's going in your body, what you're noticing in your awareness. Just be present to what you're sensing. And as you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the room and come back into this moment. Isn't that pretty? Isn't that festive? Mm-hmm. So, Alan and Jan, let me just check with you. What are you sensing and what are you noticing from that first layer of clearing there?
Well, I have to show you who crawled up in my lap is my kitty.
Dogs and cats love the energy of this work. I can tell you right now. I have animal four-legged fans all around the world.
And my kitty's name is Spirit. So the first thing that came to me was Spirit, not my cat per se, but I kept hearing the word Spirit. And next thing I know, okay, there's my kitty moving around. Spirit was meowing, coming into the room, and then getting up in the middle of the energy. And so that was one thing that I received Spirit. And all the tongue-in-cheek.
Talk about a sign of land of receiving Spirit.
Spirit could not get close enough to the laptop right now. So all of those metaphoric examples. One was a thought that came through. We refer to strategic attraction a lot. And the word that came to me was spiritual attraction. That is not my first thought of that, but I do believe there was a fear factor standing in the way.
You think? Designing this 16 years ago as a business and marketing tool for,
Yes. So those were just a couple of things. There was also one of my early spiritual mentors was a beautiful woman who transitioned last year. Her name was Zoe, and she was definitely present in this. She is partnering in the conspiracy, so to speak, for Jan to own her spirituality in a more public or less private way, dropping the cloak of invisibility, you could say, around my spiritual side.
And assisting you in stepping into your spiritual power.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Other than that, nothing really was happening. So.
Yeah. Well, and as and we're going to open this up for anybody and everybody to share that feels like they'd like to, but also just really meditate now and look deep into yourself and ask what makes me tick, and just see if something is clearer for you or something is shifted for you. What makes me tick is. And I'm actually just going to hide my picture here for just a moment, but I'm still listening to everybody. So,
do you want me to? I can stop the share for a moment and just.
If you can hide me for just a moment, I'd appreciate that. So
let's see.
There we go. Fabulous. Thank you.
So hi everybody we can see. If you'd like to, I could unmute everybody for a moment. How about that? Everybody's unmuted. So if you'd like to say what perhaps has become clear for you since our meditation. Anybody, the floor is open.
Can you hear me? This is Jody.
Yes, Jody. Hi.
Hi. Alan, that was absolutely fabulous and so perfect timing, of course, with the full moon tonight. My whole body just started vibrating. I was bawling. Great clearing. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jody, for reminding me. I didn't even tie our day together with the full moon, so thank you for doing that. Yeah.
And you can bring me back online now, Jan.
All right, let's see where.
And just, yeah, the full moon, I believe, is in Aquarius, and it's a fantastic time for manifesting abundance. So, you know, it's all perfect.
Yay.
So,
Anybody
Jody,
else?
can I ask you what makes you tick?
It's really about helping people see themselves as spirit sees them. So it's about transformation. It's about making things simple in their business, and just really having them see themselves as spirit sees them.
So what makes you tick is seeing yourself as spirit sees you.
Right.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And how is that, by the way? What are some of the qualities, characteristics, and attributes of how spirit sees you?
Kindness, loving.
I think I can't hear you, Jody, so.
Isn't that interesting?
It's kind of interesting.
Well, that's a wonderful question, I think, Jody. A meditation for you is, how does spirit see you? What are the qualities, attributes, and characteristics of how spirit sees you?
That's a great question. I love that.
Thank you.
How does spirit see me?
And then what are the obstacles that keep you from embodying? You know, beautiful.
Nice. Anybody else want to share something from our meditation?
I want to share, but if anybody is first, I don't mind.
You're next. Go.
All right. Okay. Well, what came out that made me tick is that the long form is to help the people in a big multinational organization align with my values to reach their potential using personal growth tools to become the first enlightened organization. But the short form is to facilitate the first enlightened multinational organization. And what this clearing has done for me is kind of made me a little bit more feeling a little bit more easy with the idea that enlightened organization is already there, is already looking for me. When my experience in the past have been of very greedy companies that where the selling was not connecting with meaning at all. And I realized that I attracted that because I was greedy.
Yeah.
So recently I started to reach out to some companies, and I started to find companies that are very connected with the spiritual values. Mm-hmm. So what the easy that I feel now is that my reality and what I'm finding now has changed, and it's going to be easier than I thought because I change. Mm-hmm. So this was a great clearing of my past, which is still lingering in the background. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question or a couple of questions?
Sure.
So, what makes me tick is creating the first enlightened organization. Okay, beautiful. So, what experience does this enlightened organization facilitate for everyone that comes into contact with it?
Yeah, it's an experience of joy.
Okay.
And kindness and clarity of purpose.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, great. So I would suggest that if you're sharing what makes your perfect customers tick, it's joy, kindness in action, and what was the third thing you said?
Clarity of purpose.
Absolutely. So what makes your perfect customers tick is joy, clarity of purpose, and kindness in action.
Thank you so much. And probably that's what makes me...
How does that feel?
It feels great because that's probably what makes me tick too.
I would drop the probably. And I would say one of your sole purposes is now to create a foundation or an organization that then at its core values facilitates that for every conscious being in the planet.
All right. I'm still not 100% comfortable with creating an organization. It has been just me, and that's it.
I'm just making an invitation here. You can choose to step into it or not. It's your choice.
But I trust you. So, and this makes me uncomfortable in a nice way.
Darling, trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'll go if Marimar's done.
I'm done. Thank you, Kerry.
All right. So what makes me tick is assisting and inspiring others to enhance the quality of their lives mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Would you say that again?
What makes me tick is assisting and inspiring others to enhance the quality of their lives mentally, spiritually, and physically.
All right, and as we did today's meditation, did something become clearer for you?
What actually became clear was one of my ticks in the past was simply that I care. And that sort of felt a little flat. And then as we're speaking afterwards, my tick is actually my mission, which I've actually came across in 2004, and it seems to have stayed with. So the clarity was actually switching from something simple to that state of mission.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would invite you to explore I care, because I think there is an incredible resonance and power and profound quality of your caring.
Yeah,
I can see Jan and Ellen, because they were there with the first one that came up.
Well, your tick, as you said it, is beautiful. It feels sort of from the head, more from the heart, and less from the belly. So I invite you to bring that potency of caring, and you care so much that you help people come back to their heart, body, mind, spirit, and enhance their lives in that way.
All right, and now I need to look at the limiting beliefs and the blocks.
Well, welcome to the human experience.
Exactly.
The Maharishi, who Alan invoked earlier, was still removing, blocks to his further and further enlightenment. It's a dance. The carousel never stops.
I get it.
But Carrie, that's beautiful, and I can feel your care just in our presence together here, and that's all very, very potent to me. So don't throw it out with the bath water there.
Oh, okay.
Somebody else have an experience in the meditation, or it's a shift in what makes them tick, or just care to put your hat in the ring and share what makes you tick?
Yeah, I do that. I'll share.
Let's see. I think Laurie Letter was first, and then Nancy.
Right. Thank you, Jan.
Laurie. Yeah.
Thank you. And can you hear me?
I can. Yes, thanks.
And thank you, Alan, for leading us through that whole process. I really appreciate it. So thank you. Before we did the process, and you asked us to write down what made me tick. What came was, I'm sound healer. And so I wrote down singing and sounding divine intelligence for myself and others, and also creating beauty. And then we went through the process. I might start crying. I am going to start crying. Which I think I can do with this group. After the process, when you asked us to ask what makes us tick, and I closed my eyes, and what I saw, what seemed like myself, it was more of a, I just saw standing there in this woman, what I'm assuming is me, with just in this very long white robe. So it's not that I'm supposed to go out and wear a white robe, but that it was, and the words that came were, I bring the light to the earth. I bring the light to the earth. And so, which is true, but it sounds so amorphous. It's like I have to be able to do this in, which I already am doing it in embodied ways, but to really, really fully do it in an embodied, grounded way, I guess I have to trust that I'm being guided step by step to do that in bigger ways. But it just, that was all it was coming, was I bring the light. I bring the light to the planet. So.
But try this on, Lori, and see if how this fits. I sing the light to the earth.
I do sing the light, actually. I know that. I do sing the light. I'm very clear about that. Yeah.
So, I see you in that white robe singing your exquisite song as only you can sing it, and uplifting all of us as you do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and now what is the qualities, characteristics, and attributes of the exquisite woman who sings the light of the earth? Start teasing that out.
Can you say that one more time, please?
So, have this image of this you at your most radiant, enlightening self, this woman who sings the light to the earth. And now what are her qualities, characteristics, and attributes? Start to really, tease her out. Who is she in the fullness of her being? Who are you in the fullness of your being?
I still love this question you posed earlier. How does spirit see me? Like rather than me, how do I see me? How does spirit look at me?
I like that, Jan. Yeah.
And what are the obstacles that keep me from that manifestation? And that's all they are, little obstacles.
That's right. And you saw how easy it was. It just had 20 minutes to clear the initial, the outer layer, what's up, what's activated, just to clear that. It's like it took 20 minutes, It's like on to the next one. And you guys will have this recording, you can go back, fast forward to the meditation, it's like.
Just keep repeating that, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's layers and layers and layers, and we're just talking about this lifetime. If you happen to believe in reincarnation, there's more layers there too. But Fritz Perls, the founder of Gestalt therapy, said just go with what's obvious. Go with what's up right now and just clear it. And just keep clearing and clearing and clearing until you are fully embodied with that exquisite woman singing the light to the earth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we're right at the.
I think we have time for one more.
I think we're a couple of minutes over, but if we can, I'm happy to stay for a couple more minutes if anybody wants to share.
I think Nancy, but I'm
Nancy. Oh,
I'm elated to hear what Nancy.
I forgot. Nancy, back to you. Yeah, I know you said you wanted to.
So. Just that I had actually been writing about my tick this morning, but after hearing Alan, I wrote that what makes me tick is a deep desire to know, use, and access my divine power. And I've been doing Tai Chi now. I've started my 3rd year. And 3/4 of the way through this exercise or this meditation with Alan, suddenly I felt myself moving, and I was really playing with energy that I've never felt before.
Wow.
So it was really very exciting. I know people in my class talk about feeling the chi and feeling the energy. It's like, I just don't get it. And I got it today.
Wow. That's great.
Well, and Nancy, if I could simplify it for you, is what makes you tick is divine power.
Ah.
Or, you know, being the conduit of divine power, a channel of divine power. Just own that and allow it to infuse every tissue of your body.
Yes. Thank you.
Woo. We're birthing some new ticks today. Remember, you heard it here first.
Or old ticks.
Yeah, I agree with Carrie, some old ticks. But,
Right.
well, you know,
right.
I'm a
all right, so we're
friend of
uncovering our
Bill
little
W.
There we go.
My experience of what makes me tick is it's an excavation. You know, I was telling Jan the other day, I wish I could find my notes from 2006 and what I originally wrote down, and how over the years it's just been peeling back layers and layers to get to deeper and deeper levels of truth about what makes me tick. So their spirit, yeah, thank you.
Alan,
Yes.
because you do the excavation for the rest of us.
Well, I like holding the space for you to excavate your tick, yeah. You do the excavating, sister. I just hold the space.
Anybody else? John, how about you? You got any words of wisdom for us?
Sure, I was
Mr. John, were you lurking in the back?
I'm always lurking here with you, my friend. I'm always the guy in the background for you. You know, it's funny. My tick has always been connection. You know, I always feel like I'm the channel of connection for a lot of people, and I really feel that way. And today, I wouldn't say I had an enlightening idea about it, but definitely a shift in things, and there's things formulating. I'm slow to formulate, but you know, that's me.
Well, John, if I can ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
So what do you connect?
You know, mostly I feel like I'm a big connector of those around me.
Okay, so people.
People.
Okay, great. And when you connect people together, what experience would you love for them to have?
Boy, that's a good question. I think the experience I'd love for them to have is just the joy of connecting, getting to know one another, bringing people with like talents together.
So try this on. What makes me tick is connecting and joy.
What makes me tick is connecting and joy. I like that.
Connecting with joy,
Connecting with joy, connecting. Yeah.
Right.
That feels good.
Feels a lot sexier to me than just connecting. It's like, you know,
way sexy. I agree.
All right, beautiful. Because, you know, now, you know, whether it's connecting somebody on Webinar Jam, underneath that is the joy of being able to connect with other people in my tribe.
Totally.
So it's not just a technology experience, as that no, we're connecting in joy, and we're using a technology to do it.
True. I like it.
All right. I'll check in on you in about
I'll wear
90
it for a
days.
while and see how it feels.
Yeah. Until it's time to take on a deeper level of connection.
There's definitely deeper. It's just that's the first, like you said, the first peel of the onion for sure.
Yeah. All right. Beautiful. Great to see you, John.
Good seeing you too.
And we've got Juliana. I see your beautiful face. Hi.
Hi, Jen. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I was getting the first code, if you will, the one with the pyramids and the mandalas, really struck me about the infinity of our soul. That was the first hit I got. And then it opened me to thinking about, like Carrie, how much I care about serving humanity. And what makes me personally tick is silence and contemplation. So, you know, that maybe that's why the infinity pulled me, because it just felt like, wow, that's eternal space, and that's wonderful to just go get lost in it. Sorry, my phone went off. I'd like to work with you some more. I'd like to, you know, get deeper into this work. Are you going to announce that, or?
You want to tell them a little bit more, Alan, about how they can work with you?
Well, sure. Well, one, we have a free gift for you. So, you know, I'm always about how do we change our state? How do we become more in tune with who we are? And one of the fastest tools that I have found for growing spiritually, and just here's an aside, which means one of the fastest ways to pull your shit up so that you can work through it, just a warning, is it's a chakra meditation, and it's I think it's a 20 or 30 minute chakra meditation. So I sent Jan the link to it so she can post it, and she'll send it out to you. So that's a free gift for each of you. And if you want to share the slide that sort of showed that at the end, Jan. So that's, you know, one way just to be in touch with me. But Jan asked me what was my intention for our time together, and I said, Jan, I'd love for you and I to create an experience together, and we could do it in Santa Fe at one of the retreat centers there in Santa Fe. And I feel like what we covered today could easily be a 2 or 3 day experience, really diving deep into the strategic attraction plan and really clearing any obstacles that keeps us from manifesting and embodying our highest intention and our soul purpose. So stay tuned for that, because I'm just thrilled with my experience of our time together and what you sense. And I think that there's something really, really important that we could create together as a community. So so stay tuned for that, because I expect Jan and I will be having some conversations over the next couple of weeks, Jan and Alan and myself, excuse me.
Yes.
About what mischief and mayhem we can create together.
Sounds great.
There you go.
And I love that you had a great experience, and that you've had an experience deeper of yourself, of your own being, because that's what I live for. That's what makes me tick.
All right. Well, I think we're going to complete for today, and thank you everybody for being here, and your energy, your connection to spirit, everything that you brought to the call has made this a beautiful, beautiful experience. And certainly, Alan, Big Al, thank you.
You're welcome. I would love to hear what Medium Al is sensing and feeling. He's been kind of quiet. He's been lurking in the background.
Oh, he was lurking. Okay, Al, Medium Al, you're on the heart seat.
Well, what makes me tick is connection, connection, connection. And what I got from this experience was really embodying, for me, what that means. In other words, it's having a lively experience of it in my body. And that's why I resonated so much with that, what you said about Gandhi. I have so much to do today, I better meditate 2 hours instead of 1. Because meditation, you know, a lot of times we think it's always just sitting there doing nothing. When actually what it is connecting, you know, mentally, spiritually, emotionally with Source, and then co-creating with Source out in diverse creation. And so I got a much deeper sense and feeling of what makes me as in connection, connection, connection. Connection with myself, connection with source, connection with diverse creation.
Yeah, my sense in just listening to you is what makes you tick is that connecting to being or connecting to source and taking inspired action infused with that being, filled with that being.
That's it.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. And there's something, this mischievous, playful, trickster quality you have as you share the glitter of that being and take that action in the world.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Alan, any parting words for us? Any attractive actions? Any words of closing wisdom? Take us home.
Well, I'd say, take a few minutes to contemplate or journal or write down any insights that you had so that you can revisit them. And whatever technology that you have access to, remember that as you set your highest intention for who you choose to be, just consistently remove those obstacles of, that keep you in fear, that keep you playing small, and keep you from stepping into your magnificence. That's what I would share with you.
That's really important to remember. I know we tend to attract people that are always doing that on some level, yet what I hear in your reminder is there's more to go. Don't just don't settle, and remember that this is a growth in process kind of a world. We came here, we chose this time to be here for that reason and to keep going and expanding. Thank you for that nudge and reminder.
That carousel never stops.
Yes, exactly. Okay. All right. Anybody, what was we always like to close our calls with popcorn style, the most valuable thing you took away, 1 or 2 words, just popcorn style. Anybody, what's your takeaway from our time together today?
Inspiration.
Inspiration.
Willing to be vulnerable.
Willing to be vulnerable.
I felt my chi.
I felt my chi.
Yeah.
Clarity of purpose.
Spirit is in the house. In my lap.
Yeah, for me it's playful.
Playful. Brilliant. Anybody else? Okay. Let's see, Jody, I can see your lips moving, but I don't hear you. Well, we get you're speaking, as Spirit speaking through you in a silent format today, and we're just so glad you're here for getting your essence and beaming us.
She's expressing the word that I had, which was silence.
Silence. I think that's
a lot to be said for silence.
Yeah.
Deep silence.
An important message for all of us. Okay. All right. Well, guys, from my heart center to yours, thank you for being here. And we'll just do a standing O for Big Al and each person.
Yeah.
Thank you. Love you. Love you, love you, love you. All right. We'll be sending out your link so you get your gift meditation from Alan, Chakra Meditation. And just one big heartfelt thank you again, Big Al.
See you around the SACAT campus.
Yes, you will.
See you on the carousel.
See you on the ride. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
For now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. All right.